He serves on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee as well as the House Small Business Committee. It's great to have you with us, Congressman. So in your opinion, did the U.S. overregulate the airline industry during the Biden administration? Some saying that could be a leading cause of the demise of Spirit Airlines.
So when you look at what the Biden administration passed judgment on, they said that it would be best for consumers if the merger did not take place. Ultimately, you've got about 4 major carriers in the United States. This would have created 5 major carriers in the United States. This competition is good. And unfortunately, the decisions that were made by the Biden administration, to me, I think they were heavily influenced by the labor unions. They did not want to see jobs or restructuring of agreements with a new merged JetBlue Spirit combination. So unfortunately, I think politics got into the middle of this, and unfortunately, there's 11,000 plus Floridians out of a job right now.
You know, what's interesting about the statement from Spirit Airlines, and we've heard a similar statement from Senator Elizabeth Warren as well, is Spirit Airlines managed to survive the high gas prices under the Biden administration, and prior to that, under the Obama administration as well, which are higher now technically than they were back then. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was on ABC yesterday. He pointed the finger at the Biden administration for the demise of Spirit.
Spirit tried to merge with JetBlue. The Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg administration and DOJ tanked that deal. Immediately after that, they filed for bankruptcy. They were having financial problems. And I'm proud of the American airlines that have stepped up to take care of the passengers of Spirit, making sure they can get home. The employees of Spirit have special access to apply for jobs with other American airlines.
So, Congressman, what do you think ultimately happens with all the demand that there apparently was for Spirit?
Yeah, so Spirit goes into a market and they created a disrupting effect on driving down airfares or where there was similarly routes from those other legacy carriers. So having a Spirit in a play is a good thing. I'm sure that the legacy carriers in some cases are breathing a sigh of relief because now they're not going to be as competitive with their pricing. But look, the United States and the transportation industry is better with Spirit in it. Unfortunately, their business practices, they were leveraged to the hilt. All their equipment was leased. There wasn't a whole lot of residual value there. The president tried to do everything he could to bring this deal in for a landing. But, you know, Spirit also has its other creditors that scratch their head. Do I really want to be partnered with another entity that I don't have any control over? So, you know, I think if this deal were put on the table a year ago, 2 years ago, we'd be having a different conversation today.
Really, really interesting. I mean, also kind of going back in time, as you pointed out a couple of years ago, there's a CNN clip from 2023 that's gone viral in the wake of the demise of Spirit. And this is former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg touting the efforts of the Transportation Department to shut down those merger efforts between JetBlue and Spirit Airlines. Watch.
Our department, the Department of Transportation, has generally not gotten involved in these merger cases, but that's changing today. It is so important to make sure that passengers have choices, that they have access to low fares, that they have access to competition, and yet we've seen less and less and less of that competition over the years.
What do you think the former secretary feels about that? Do you think maybe regret or remorse for spearheading those efforts?
No, not at all. Look, he was doing the bidding of the unions when it comes to collective bargaining. There's an anxiety that happens when these are heavily unionized industries. And there's just anxiety from those union leaders. Look, there's going to be a set of new terms when a carrier merges. All those contracts have to be met. And so this was going to have to take place when the JetBlue merger. Unfortunately, now Spirit has billions of dollars more in debt than they did when they were in negotiations with JetBlue. So, I mean, I think, you know, the secretary felt like, you know, I'll make my union buddies happy. At the same time, you know, maybe they'll recover. But this is unfortunately a decision I wish they would have revisited, and we would have had this merger where both airlines would be on the road to recovery in a new single airline.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg doing the Ronald Reagan quote there in that segment where, you know, what are the scariest words you can ever hear? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And he says they normally stay out of these things. They should have stayed out of it. And there would be more choice for consumers today. And that's, you know, that's Very typical for people like Pete Buttigieg. There's also an article from The Atlantic which seemed to perfectly summarize the entire Spirit Airlines experience, and this is what they wrote. Even if you swore off Spirit, you have certainly benefited from the airline. Spirit paved the way for other ultra-cheap airlines, and the entire industry has had to slash prices to keep up. The paradox of Spirit is this. It was a horrible airline to fly, but it also allowed more people to fly than ever before. And this is exactly, Congressman, what you were talking about.
Yeah, look, I've flown on Spirit before. It's no walk in the park, but you know what?
It's like taking a bus in the air, right?
There you
Let's just be
go.
honest.
Yeah.
It really is.
It gets you there, but
I thought I was in a locker room, but it got me where I needed to go, and I wish it was still around because there's definitely a purpose that it served. And unfortunately, other carriers, the Frontiers of the world, and then you got new emergents with Breeze. There's other low-cost carriers that will ultimately try to fill that void. But mince no words, this industry is a setback because Spirit is gone, and it's unfortunately that government intervention, in my opinion, under the Buttigieg administration, put it out of business.
yeah.
So you don't think, Congressman, that this was just a situation of survival of the fittest, and Spirit, even after all those decades, just simply couldn't do it?
Yeah, look, you've got to, as you've seen what's happened with Southwest Airlines right now. Southwest is changing their business model. They're starting to get into the fees where everything used to be all rolled up into their ticket price. So all this is becoming a change that the industry has got to pivot to, as survivability in this market right now is tough.
Yeah.
The legacy carriers, Delta is flying aircraft now. They're almost 30 years old. But
Wow.
you know, they're not buying new ones, but they're just taking care of workhorses, and that overhead, that debt service is not part of their liability that they're having to deal with. These are the challenges they face.
Yeah, one of the most regulated businesses in the world, the airline industry, and also one of the most problematic for all the reasons you just heard there from the Congressman.
That's right.
Jimmy Patronis, thanks so much, sir. Great to see you.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having me.